Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Nizar Ahmed. He is a strategic event and automation media producer with a strong background in video production and collaboration, an impressive 15 plus years of working in the commercial, private, and public sectors, where he has managed all aspects of events, video production services, digital experiences, and he has even worked with integrated marketing teams to enable campaigns and implement production needs to scale and effectively support the brand. So some of the organizations he's worked with include Universal Music, Cartoon Network, Merck, Sunpower, VMWare, Dropbox, RSA, and he's done commercial productions for the NFL too, which is a fun fact. So he has experience working with a lot of different nonprofits, and I don't want to take any more time away from you, so I'll let you take it away. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Tina. When you get a chance, if you can enable my screen share, please. Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining. We've got an exciting presentation for you today. And if it's not, it's okay. You guys are on video. You could be sleeping. No problem. You can catch up to it afterwards. Beautiful. I got my share screen here. Love it. All right. There we go. Let me just move this dialog box over. All right. So let's talk. As you know, since the invention of computers, technology has been advancing rapidly in the form of internet, smartphones, and other devices. Every technological innovation opens the door to a plethora of others that will build and create exponential growth. Here's some numbers to put that into perspective. So if you look on the web, you'll find out since January of this year, January 11th, there's 4.95 billion internet users in the world. Keep in mind, the world population clock is almost at 8 billion as of 2023. So that's more than half of the world population. The latest figures show that there are expected to be 4.89 billion social media users worldwide, a 6.5 increase from last year. And it's predicted there's going to be almost 40 billion IoT, Internet of Things connected devices. That's things like gas stations, washing machines, smart watches, pacemakers. These are just some examples. This is estimated to happen around the year 2025. So just a year and a half from now, this number is going to jump. That's amazing. And this explains the explosion of automation and AI to help organizations keep up to speed if they want to grow as well. People also believe this may lead to robots taking over the world. Well, they may be right. Who knows? But before they do, let's take the time to learn how we can work with technology to help us in our organizations. Hi, everyone. My name is Nizar Ahmed. Thank you very much for the introduction. I have a consulting company called Ahmed Consulting, which not only helps organizations produce live events and corporate video productions, but also provides organizations guidance on what type of technology would best serve their needs for collaboration, production, and automation. I work for many corporations, nonprofits. That's allowed me the opportunity to understand how to optimize resources, the time needed to implement those resources in tech, and find cost-effective ways to increase impact of live events and customer satisfaction. This has resulted in better retention and growth, especially for nonprofits using automation and more recently AI. So that's who I am. Here's what we'll cover today. Identify the issues organizations are facing with social media platforms. Briefly go over some of the benefits that AI and automation can provide your organization, and then show you a quick demo on how to build 30 days worth of content in minutes. I'll take questions at the end. This is being recorded, as you heard, so you don't have to take detailed notes. All right, let's get started. Nonprofits have challenges. Some of these are familiar to your organization when working with social media. I've listed these in numerical order. So from my experience, this is what the order that I think is important, but it may be different for the organization that you work in. These challenges that I've found include limited resources. How do you do what you need to do with the staff that you have? Creating compelling content. How do you retain your audience and engage new members or viewers to share your vision? Staying up to date with technology. This is big. What's the best tool for you to use to maximize your reach and not having to invest in new tech and tools every year? Managing reputation. This is a doozy. And measuring impact. Are your campaigns and events and basic promotional posts, are they working? How do you identify areas of improvement quickly and efficiently? It's important for nonprofits to address these issues effectively and maximize the impact of social media outreach. There's a lot to unpack in the time we have today, so I'll focus on the top 3 for our presentation, and perhaps we can do a deep dive on the other 2 in another presentation. All right, so you need to balance people, resources, time, and money. That's efficient and standard across any kind of organization. And you could have all the time in the world to execute a plan, but without adequate funding or resources to accomplish the work, it means nothing. Or you could have a great project plan and an army of resources to work on it. Without the time or funds to properly execute the plan, you have no results. It's a tedious balance. So let's take an example of a fishing boat. Like smaller organizations, they are more agile, don't need a large staff to run it. Decisions can be made fairly quickly like nonprofits. The opportunity to grow in a fishing example, as long as they have the right bait, the organization can grow. In an organizational perspective, as long as they can find the right platform to communicate their message, they have an opportunity to grow. In my experience, this is where the pain point begins. Due to the lack of understanding of how to use the right platform to gain your audience, this can be a little bit tricky. So like you have many fish in the sea, how do you end up attracting the right kind of platform for your audience? That becomes a little bit complicated when you are searching for some stuff here. Sorry, there you go. There you go. Searching for different platforms. There's so many social media platforms that people use. And even though the most used social media platform may be great for your prospective audience, it may not even be on it. So how do you manage this? You end up spending more time. You can't really manage it. You end up spending more time, and this could lead to spending an immense amount of time exploring platforms, trying to find your audience, spending a lot of time creating assets on a platform where you barely have any ROI to show on it, return on investment. And sometimes organizations run into issues of balancing advocacy with authenticity, not really being able to fit on that platform that you're using, right? Nonprofits must often need to advocate for their cause with a desire to maintain authenticity on social media. I found organizations sometimes even use the same platform even though they aren't benefiting from it because they don't have the resources to migrate their data onto a new one, which ends up spending more money because it's costly to move. So sometimes you'll spend time and money and it's not necessarily getting you anything in return. Let's look at another example. Another issue I've seen with bigger organizations in the last 2 years, they have the funds, so hiring resources isn't an issue. You may have core staff and they need to spend time on higher level tasks and projects. So they're able to hire more resources to help with the tasks they used to do. You find the people who you believe have the skill set. You create a knowledge transfer document so they can try to follow what you've been doing successfully. But they aren't able to keep pace. They may not even have the same tone or voice in the message when writing content. And where sometimes you may have turnover, leaving you back to square one. Well, here you may have thought you were able to focus less on the time spent on tasks by hiring people, resources, and money. But even hiring the right people, your organization can end up with more work. Now, this isn't always doom and gloom, but how do we tackle these issues with the tools that we have? What if you could save money and time, use the staff you have now, giving you breathing room to hire the right people, get faster and better research completed without spending a large amount of time on the platform? You know, you will reach the donor and audience that you want, creating content in the voice that you want to cater for your audience. This would be awesome, right? And were you able to even optimize your donor dollars and what you really need for your business, less exploring dollars? Well, this is where automation and AI can help. Here are a couple of ways how you can better balance resources, time, and money by implementing automation and AI. Imagine being able to address questions from donors, volunteers, offer them personalized recommendations to their questions about your programs, and provide real-time support. Manage your volunteers. You can enable AI tools like ChatGPT and Google to work together, where volunteers can sign up for an event, select a time slot that works for them. And if they decide they need to change that time they can volunteer, the AI can help them show them alternative times. The best thing about this, you don't need to allocate a resource to make this. You don't have to allocate a resource to monitor this. You can check in on the results by viewing the people, you can check the resources by viewing the people who are on your Google Sheet at the end when you're available. What about if you need an asset for social media? You can create a video, but you don't have the skill set or the people resources. What if AI can create a script for you? Put it into a voice emulator program, and then put it onto your website or your social media platform, all without you ever having to learn a new tool or even write a script. Using an AI tool, you can dynamically create this video without having to spend $1,000 or thousands of dollars even sometimes. Finally, using automation to publish this content weeks or months in advance so you can focus on bigger projects. Impact tracking. Nonprofits can use ChatGPT to track the impact of their programs by gathering feedback from beneficiaries and volunteers. Through a chatbot, nonprofits can monitor effectiveness, identify areas for improvement, and refine their impact strategy. These are all really kind of cool things that I've kind of gone over on a 36,000 feet view, but let's talk about a specific example here. What if you had a graphic designer? And this graphic designer really loved working just on graphics in an organization and just wanted to have more time to work on what she was doing. She had people who interacted with her that have needs for social media, videos, posters, presentations. But the way that they communicate with her is by using Google Sheets, which is a great tool. But there's lines and lines of data. If you've ever used this for an event, you have to shift through columns to get to the progress column. And any one of the contributors at any time can put in information, and you may not know about it. There's no update to it. You can have them put in too little information or too much information. This gets chaotic for our graphic designer who just wants to get going on the assignment. Our graphic designer loves organization. She loves using a program called Trello. This is a visual tool that can manage any type of project workflow or task tracking, add files, checklists, and you can even set up tasks pending, in progress, if it needs more information or if it's completed. But she knows asking her requesters to learn this new program isn't something they have time for and will have pushback. So this is where automation comes into play. Our graphic designer can use Google Forms to create a specific set of fields of information where people can submit information that she needs help to complete their media request. That information can be sent to Trello, so she can start the graphic design project. She will use an automation program called Zapier, a web-based platform that's made for automation. Zapier can set up to take the data that is sent from Google Forms to Trello. When our graphic designer starts working on the project, it'll email the people who have sent the request in to let her know what part of the project she's on. If she needs more information, she can send it through the application that she wants, so it gets the information to them. She can also ask for reviews. As the project progresses, she can let them know, hey, I want you to review this, give me comments. And at the end, what's really awesome is that she can just ask them to download it from a specific area that she chooses. She's able to use the platform she wants. The people who have submitted the request are able to get updates. So there's a communication all along the way, And this is done through automation. All of this is mitigating the amount of meetings, reviews, and helping people use the tools that they want without a lot of fuss. Okay, so here's a couple of ways that you can also balance, right, with time, money. This is some stuff that we put in through automation. Now, one thing's really cool about this is there is a multitude of things. I know today we're going to be focusing on ChatGPT. We're going to be working on Canva, and Sheets is a demo that I'm about to go into here. Now, there are different tools that we can talk about in Q&A, but today, these are the three that we're going to focus. Our setup here is we're going to use ChatGPT to create some data that we can then pull into Canva, and it will generate 30 days worth of content. Now, I say 30 days, but you can do it for months as well too if you want. So before any other waiting here, let's get into the demo. I'm gonna switch my camera so I can look at you guys while I do this. This is ChatGPT. Here is our Google Sheets, and this is where we're going to go to Canva. Now, I've set this up a little bit. I've logged in. You're going to need to log in your instance, but I'm just going to show you the meat of it, if you will, on how to actually kind of do this. Now, I set up our demo where we had talked about setting up 30 days worth of content. I typed in here, and this is, by the way, called conversational AI, meaning that unlike Google or any kind of search engine, it's not giving you a whole bunch of list of items or links that you need to click into. It's actually conversing with you. So you want to give as much information to ChatGPT to get a better result. Now, sometimes you will need to actually put in more information. So you may start off with create 30 unique sentences. Let's write that in for social media. And then you may have to go over and over. Here's a prompt that I put in where you can say, create unique one-sentence social media posts. I'm telling it how long I want it to be on why it's good to recycle for the environment. Because in my demo here, I'm pretending to be a recycling organization that wants people to recycle, and I want them to kind of learn some benefits to it. And I want it in spreadsheet format. In fact, you know what I'm going to do, just for fun? I'm going to take this part out so you can actually see how brilliant this thing is. So we're just going to go create 30 unique one-sentence social media posts and why it's good to recycle for the environment. So let me, yes, beautiful. That's what happens in live demos. Sometimes you have issues. So here we go. Create one sentence, create one sentence unique posts for social media for explaining why it is good to recycle. So one thing about ChatGPT, we're using the free version here. And what happens is there's a lot of people hitting it, a lot of people using it, it'll sometimes delay and take some time to give you an answer. That's why you saw the delay there. I got an error because I had my ChatGPT open and was not using it. So it gave my spot, if you will, to somebody else. So don't be worried if that happens. We just refreshed and went through it. As you see here, it's giving me reasons, one sentence reasons of why it's good to recycle. And it's going to build out 30 of them. This is a great tool if you are looking for a copy. Say you're doing a website. I actually just did this recently. Someone asked me about an About Us page that they needed for a website. I put in some details of what the website was, where it's located, what are the benefits for it. And, we're going 5 here, apparently. Let's regenerate the response. I think it is being busy. So let's see. If we only get 5, I'll show you with 5, but we can generate 30. Again, it all really depends on how many people are on ChatGPT. So anyhow, going back to the About Us page, content can be generated through ChatGPT. It actually writes out really well. You can come up with content for a blog, for a website, for even a web page, as I told you as an example. One thing you have to know, though, is ChatGPT loves to create content, but if you start asking it facts, it may not respond to you with the best data. And I say that because I want to make sure you have a grain of salt here. ChatGPT basically is based on Wikipedia, and it's learning from us. It's learning what information we're putting in, how we're asking questions. So trust, but verify. So if you're asking it facts, you will definitely want to make sure that you verify the information. As you see here, sometimes ChatGPT will stall. All you have to do is regenerate the request and it'll go through. A couple of other things about ChatGPT that's really great is it'll have the ability to add in a chatbot to your website. So if you want people to answer you right away, or you want people to get an answer rather right away, you can enable ChatGPT so people can ask questions and get natural responses. Keep in mind, we don't always have to use AI. Facebook already has this capability where you can have automation where people can ask, what are your favorite flavors if you're a baking shop? What are your flavors that you serve on Saturday? And you can already have that listed and it'll automatically respond to them. It looks like our session here is a little bit packed because maybe other people are using it. That's fine. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually just I'm going to use these 10. And what I'm going to do is, this is great. These are great output that we have here. But what I'm going to do is want this in spreadsheet format because I want to put this again, remember, in our Google Sheets. So put this in spreadsheet format. Yeah. And the best part about this is if you're lazy, like I'm being here, and I want it to actually work for me a little bit harder, it's going to oh, it's telling me you can't do it. Put this data. There we go. Content previous format. Okay, great. So this is where ChatGPT sometimes gets a little sassy, where you can put the data, as you see, it's going into spreadsheet format, but it's telling you that it doesn't. And I have encountered this only once before, where you can really work with ChatGPT to get different formats like images and everything else, even though it tells you it can't. But if you ask it in different ways, it'll actually end up developing it for you. Now, the cool part here is the same information that we had is being built out in spreadsheet format. It didn't do the 30 days because I think it's a little packed, but if you try this and put in 30 days, you'll be able to see that it works. Now, one thing else I'm going to do is put a date column with information above in the XXX format, starting with April 1st. So what I'm asking you to do here is, say I have all this data, it's great, but I want to actually put a date of when I have done these. It's not only just 1 through 10, but I want to actually be able to know when I'm going to post a specific thing, because it might not be me. Maybe it's somebody else. I have somebody else on my team working, so they'll know exactly what number is going around if I need to shift the specific quotes. So by doing this, ChatGPT will regenerate what we put in. And you notice now that it's actually putting dates to the number of posts that we have assigned. This is great because we can take this, and I'm going to show you how we use the date column and the post column in automation. All right, so this is the data that it's pushed out. This is beautiful. Let's take all of this and we're going to copy it. Let's take all this and we're going to copy it right like so. Now I'm going to move over to Sheets. Let me just move that over. Move that over to my Google Sheets. And I'm going to go here. Now you see here, you can do a little bit of formatting if you want. I'm going to make this into, let's change the coloring so I can see this better. And I'm going to change that into white. And here's the data. Here's all the data, as you can see, where I didn't have to do anything. I just got what ChatGPT sent me. You don't need to format this or anything else more, because you're going to take this data and take it into Canva. I'm going to save this. Now, here's the key thing to make this work. You have to save this data as CSV. If you save it into an Excel format or anything else, it won't work. You can also copy this data and put it in Excel. If you don't use Google Sheets, not a problem, but you have to save it as .csv. So let's just save that. Let's do here. Let's go into Professor X. And let's do desktop, and we'll put it here. Demo. And we'll save it there. All right. Now remember, I used AI to help me come up with content. I used Google Sheets to help me organize this content. And now what I'm going to do is use automation to generate the multiple day posts that I want to do. You can pick any design that you want in Canva. Canva is a graphic design program. It's awesome for nonprofits because you don't have to worry about a graphic designer to come up with an image or anything else for you. Graphic designers are awesome, but if you want to save costs, you can get Canva or Easel. They're really neat. So I came up with this design really quick for our demo. As you can see, this already has some text in it, and it has an email address here. Now, what I'm going to do is once I've selected the design, I'm going to want to pull in the data that we are using. What you want to do is, you may not see this icon here called bulk create in Canva. If you don't, you just go to apps. And when you go to apps, you'll see, well, I already have it, so it won't pop up here, but you'll see a category here where you can click on bulk to create, and then that'll always be here on the side for you. Once I click on bulk to create, I can say, hey, I want to upload the CSV that I just created. I'm going to find that CSV. Remember, I called it TCNPC demo. Select it and click on open. Now, here's the cool thing that we have. Remember, I asked ChatGPT to make columns for me. Well, here's my columns for the date, number, and post in Excel. And it transferred over here into Canva to show me the date when I want to post it, the numbers, and the post. The numbers honestly don't matter, but this is where it'll be kind of cool. You can select the text that you want, where I want to put the quote. I'm going to click on the 3 dots. And then what I'm going to do is go connect data. And it's going to ask me, well, what data do you want to connect? Do you want to connect the dates, the numbers, or the post? Well, I want to collect the post here. And then here, I want to connect the date. So let's say connect data, and I want to put the date so that when I do this post, it'll actually have the date with the post. You can change this also if you wanted to go back into Google Sheets. I can change this all and add my email address or a Zoom link if you want, so that it generates each time. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on continue. It shows me all my posts right here that I had done from my sheet. And here's the magic part. I just click generate this page, and remember all those quotes that I had? You see the quotes here, and you see the dates on the bottom. Now, this is just a simple version of using automation where I've created 10 entries. We were going to make 30. ChatGPT said, no, that's fine. You can always add in your logo. You have the ability to add in your brand, so you can put in your logo. You can add a QR code, design what you want first, and then you can generate all this content. That way, what happens is you can take all this content, you can export all this content out, take it all out, and then set it for Facebook or Snapchat or any of the social medias that work best for your organization. You can use it for there. So with that, I wanted to say thank you and address any questions that you may have. And thank you very much for that patience with ChatGPT not giving us love.
Go ahead, Eric has his hand up. Go ahead, Eric. Yeah, you mentioned the term graphics. You know, we have a lot of photos of travel. Would this be a way to process a lot of photos to get them organized for posting on Instagram or something?
You know, that's a great question, Eric. So here's one thing that I didn't tell you. I did text, but you can do this with graphics as well. What you would do is you put them all in a folder on your desktop, and then you can define the link. And when you go into Canva and you populate, much like what I did, it'll pull those images in, which is very cool. The one thing I didn't tell you guys also, I just want to add in, Google Sheets, ChatGPT, and Canva are all free. Now, Canva, if you're a nonprofit and you're using Canva and you've paid for it, take a step back, sign up for their nonprofit license, which gives you the whole application for free. You don't have to pay a cent. You just need to have a 501c3 tax ID number. So yes to your answer, and woohoo.
Wow. I have a question. So you started with the chat GPT to put things in. Can you just start on Google Docs with, let's say, I want this topic, this topic, this topic, this topic. Can you start on Google Sheets and do it and then go into Canva?
100%. So two answers for you. Yes, if you have some stuff where you already have content and you know what you want to do without using AI to help you generate the content, you can put it in Google Sheets. You can also, just because I want to spice it up, add on ChatGPT. I figured it might be a little bit more advanced for this session, but add ChatGPT now to Google Sheets so you don't have to go to the website. Since the time that I spoke to Lisa a couple of weeks ago, technology has just boomed so fast that they've opened up to other applications to directly go and add ChatGPT to their application. Google Sheets is one of them.
Mm.
Is Microsoft one of them? Excel, I mean?
Microsoft is actually one of the biggest investors in ChatGPT. So
that's what I thought. So
yeah, I think like something ridiculous like 20 billion. I could be wrong in that number, but I know they're one of the bigger investors.
But Excel would do the same. You mentioned Google Sheets, so presumably Excel would be able to do these things as well.
That's correct.
I'm old school. Excel.
Wow. Very good. Any other questions out there or comments or curiosities you'd like to share with Nizar right now? Nope.
I thought that was fascinating and it was a great demo. And I have used ChatGPT for some things and I had no idea you could have it generate a table. So now I'm like, let's get off the meeting. I want to go test that.
We have a comment in the chat. Kate says ChatGPT is now powering the Microsoft search engine Bing. Okay. And
Bing does have limitations. So they do have it incorporated, but it does have limitations compared to ChatGPT if you go directly to it. So if you are going to use that AI, I would say play around with ChatGPT. There's other AIs, by the way, we haven't spoken about that can literally generate images for you. In my presentation, I started using them, but I realized they're a little bit more fantasy type. So they're not realistic. And I try to look for something like that was Terminator-ish, and I have a graphic for that. I was like, yeah, that won't work. So I was like, let me just my graphics, yeah. And companies like Canva, by the way, there are applications like Canva that has text to image. So if you write a descriptive text of what you're looking for in the paid version of Canva, it'll generate a set of images for you to pick. So a lot of people are adopting this. It's crazy how well it's being picked up.
I don't consider myself a real high tech person, a lot like Lisa, but I started using Canva a couple years ago and I love it. There's so much you can do with it. I created an ad today for our gala event that's coming up, and it's great. I mean, and you can even search by like your style. You can put your logo in and it'll automatically generate collateral with using your specific colorway for your business, however you've branded yourself. So someone, Sharik Alvi, is with us, and they asked, what else can you do with Canva?
Well, you can make booklets. So if you want to make digital booklets, for example, I don't know if any of you use this, but it's pretty cool where you can actually have it animate where it's like changing the page or like a regular book, like how it's folding a page. It has that capability to do that because some people are like, okay, there's a lot of stuff that I'm just reading, but how can people interact with it? You had talked about brand, which is a great point. That demo that I just showed you, you can actually add in brand as well too, and it'll have logos and everything else as well. Canva's amazing because if you go with the pro version, and as a nonprofit, you have that ability, you have an amazing library of images that you don't have to go searching for anymore. And one of the beautiful part about Canva that I find is that you can do a lot of editing, like what you would traditionally do in Photoshop editing in Canva. It's not the same thing. Don't get me wrong here. There is an AI. It's like, do you have an app for that? There's an AI for that. So it's essentially, you can actually, I think it's called beautiful.ai. I need to relook at my notes, but the thing is, you can tell it to create something and then bring it into Canva as images. And then Canva will also incorporate that into your library.
Oh, wow.
So it really depends. Websites, posters, pamphlets, there's so many things that Canva can do. And when I say websites, I don't only mean graphics for websites, but it can generate a whole website for you. So it's pretty cool.
Wow.
One of the things, I think I like to feel I stay on top of things, but in one of your slides, Nizar, you had, I think you have like the LinkedIn icon, Canva, but there were several that I didn't even recognize. I mean, that's how quickly, things are developing. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just, and it takes time. I mean, if you love your nonprofit, whatever it is that you're involved with, whatever it is that drew you here, it just really takes time to explore and to stay on top of things.
Yeah, this is actually pretty wild because if you look at this, I picked the top 5 really. I mean, since prior to the pandemic, it was Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat. Now it's Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook. So Facebook is still within the top 3, but it's amazing how things have shifted, how people kind of digest stuff like Pinterest. I have WhatsApp here because people communicate a lot with their donors through WhatsApp, which I found very interesting in my research because I wouldn't think that that's what you use to communicate with people. There's Google Voice, Zoom. How do you actually have sessions to not only connect with your volunteers, your donors, but your audience? People do weekly Zoom meetings or webinars to get people interested. So a lot of these, have information, social media posts, engagement ways, but these are some of the top ones that not only did I find from ChatGPT, but I also looked up on Google to find out what are the best top applications that people are using, so that we had a good overview.
Thanks.
Shark, I could give you some good resources for Canva, not a problem. There's great pieces on TikTok. I know TikTok is close to being banned by the US government, but one of the great things about TikTok, if you're using social media, TikTok is really the main platform that's making original content. Facebook Watch, YouTube, they're all using, or I'm sorry, not all, but creators are using a desktop application called SnapTik, which basically takes a TikTok application, takes out the watermarking of TikTok and whatever else you have in there, and then you can end up using that video for your other platforms. And this is big because people are looking for original content and then they're splicing themselves in. Now, again, we were talking about the issue about building authenticity, right? And also making sure that you are staying true to your brand and then also making sure that it's authentic. So if you are, a recycling firm, I'm not going to grab a TikTok video that has nothing to do with recycling and just try to bank on that. So you do have to have that balance, but there are some cool ways. Yeah, TikTok is great. I started using it only ironically because of business, not because of my own personal stuff, but learning how people do help videos through TikTok and people are able to digest those easier.
Good. Another question here. Does ChatGPT store conversations? If so, are there privacy and security?
That's a great question. So just very recently, ChatGPT, for companies banned ChatGPT. They said, hey, listen, we can't use this at work. We don't want our information about our products or anything else going out there, because then you'd use that database for the world. There is a new version. There's an updated version of ChatGPT. In fact, the one that you see here that we were using has data from 2011 backwards, but there is a new updated version of ChatGPT that won't store long-term data for any company. I think right now it's set to 30 days, and that even some companies are saying, hey, we don't want it. But you know, if it's not proprietary and whatever else, companies will probably try to use it. And I guarantee people will use it. I know people who are using it in their companies for content. So, you know, as much as their legal or security people say no, there's people who are going to use it on their personal systems to build out content.
Very good.
Conversations or so. Yes, that's good. Never thought of that. Open, yeah, DALL-E. So that's a great one, Kate. So I actually started using DALL-E, but it started giving me, because so like that image that I had for a handshake, a human handshake with a robot handshake, it started giving me really weird images. And so I didn't use it. But this is an example with this is the link that Kate put on here for DALL-E 2.
Okay.
And again, this is why I don't know if you noticed, or maybe some of you may have known, a couple of years back, Facebook, Google, all the social media sites said, hey, listen, we're going to use your images once you post them on our site. So you kind of give up the right once it gets onto our site. And they're able to take all those images and do algorithms to start creating all these AI type of platforms. So I saw an image, actually, I have it on my deck. I had it for my sources. Let me see if it just looked really kind of crazy. But this is an image where I had asked for a Terminator-like image, and this is what I got. Let me just show you. Oops. Yeah, here we go. So this is my Terminator-like image. So I picked Arnold's face, and it has a cybernetic ear, which I thought was really kind of creepy. So I just kind of kept his face part in. But this is all generated images, right? This is asking AI to generate this stuff, not me kind of picking out, hey, what it should look like.
Very interesting.